and stuff that people wants to take and wants to possess because he's a celebrity. And I said to him, please, it's difficult for a scene like this. We don't know what is in cupboards. We don't know what is in drawers. If anything, if he found anything that is missing, that he must report it to me. And I give him the promise that if I found anything, that I will take action against it. When I reported this to the forensic team, everybody knows about it. I reported to my commander structure and also to the accused. The case docket, later on, Captain van Aert gave permission that the watches can be handed back, the rest of the watches, because after the blood analysis was done by Colonel van der Nest, who was there the following day, he seized the box. None of the forensic experts on the scene seized the box. He seized the box and he handed in for fingerprints and forensics analysis. So none of the forensic experts, not even me, handled the box concerning the theft of the theft case. Then Captain van Aert gave permission that I can hand it over the six watches that was left. Again, I didn't contact them. The accused's brother, Mr. Oscar Pistorius, phoned me. I didn't know if Captain van Aert arranged it with them, but he phoned me and he requested that he can come and take the watches over from me. Then I said, no, I will not hand it over to you. I will hand it over to the owner of the watches, that will be the accused. So arrangements was made that I meet the accused, and I handed the six watches over to the accused without the box. The box was still for analysis on the case. During that handing over session, I again informed the accused, please, if there's anything else that they're missing, they must report it.
Was anything else reported to you as having gone missing?
My lady, up to now, no, nothing else was reported stolen to me.
To you. Perhaps we skipped one step. When this happened, the meeting upstairs, the realization that there was a watch missing, where was the accused there?
The accused was already been transferred to first to the police station, and then from there to the doctor for medical examination.
Now, you indicated earlier that you explained his rights to him, asked him to remain on the scene and not leave the scene. Was he arrested at any stage?
Edele, nadat met die verloop van die onderzoek
wait.
Sorry, let me just go back to English. After a while we was busy with gathering the evidence. As the information comes through and the evidence that's been gathered, it became clear to me that we have a case, a prima facie case against the accused. So I went to him in the presence of his lawyer, Mr. Odwagen, that was present, and I arrested him, and I again warned him of his rights. And to be honest with you, Mr. Odwagen mentioned to me, sorry, Colonel, you doesn't mention the part of the judge's rules that his attorney can be present. And then I said, thank you for reminding me, but previously I did that. So then he was arrested and he was taken by two detective members of mine to the police station.
Okay. Now, on day one at the scene, was there any itinerary made of everything that was on the scene?
There was no, my lady, there was no itinerary made. In a crime scene, normally the person, as a forensic expert, he gathered the evidence and he packed it and he sealed it, and that evidence packing and sealed and confiscation is being indicated in his statements and also in his testimony. So in normal circumstances we do not make an itinerary. Actually, the instructions say we don't have actually do that.
Yes,
I'm not saying
what
we
do you
don't
mean by-
have to, but it's not entitled to do. We
What do you
just
mean
don't-
by ternary?
Internally, talking about everything in the house.
Or
that is-
inventory? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it was called itinerary by inventory.
It's an inventory.
I've got it wrong. I apologize. I don't know where I got to that. I really do. I feel embarrassed and I apologize.
No.
Inventory, that's the word I'm
Happens
looking
to
for.
all of us. It's okay.
The only thing that from my side, when talking about the inventory, I'm referring to the exhibits that has been seized on the scene, and that has been documented in the specific experts and the policeman's pocketbook as well as his statements.
Now, on day one, was there any formal access control to the scene?
From the point that I arrived, the access control was implemented by me. First was me and Constable Prinsloo. And then when we move the accused out to the garage, a barrier was erected that you can enter the house, but you can't go further than a certain portion of the entrance. There was a barrier erected there, and because there was no other place that we can take the accused, otherwise we have to take him outside, and that is why we used that passage to the garage to make sure that he's been there, because he was bare-chested. He didn't wear anything as well. But at the entrance of the garage door, one of my detectives members was standing, and then I also had access control at the main door. Later on, we further moved another barrier towards the line of the garages and to the outside building on the left-hand side of the premises to ensure. As we continue in the morning, we also make sure that access control to the scene has been limited at the gates of the estate. We have the British and the cooperation of the estate managed to ensure that not any people can come into the estate itself, because they have to be cleared before they come to the scene. And that helps a lot of keeping the media out and as well as unnecessary people.
And the process, did it change on day two? After you've now realized there's a watch missing, what did you do?
Yes, my lady, you can imagine if you found something is missing while you're doing and you have to rely on people and they was working with you. I was furious, so the next morning I implemented access control. Each person entering the scene was documented. Each person exit the scene was documented, and the exhibits, things that they took out was documented. They was even each bag that they exit with was searched to make sure that nothing has been taken out. Each exhibit that they took, we made sure that the exhibit has been sealed and it has been documented.
And you have that document with you?
I have that document with me.
Is it this one? You kept that in your file, the original?
I've got the original in my file.
You kept the original in your file?
Yeah, I've got the original in my file.
Is that a copy of it?
I just want to quickly go through. I can just compare it?
Yeah, please do. Please do. You still have your original with you?
Yeah, I've got the original.
Yeah, please do.
Because I'm not sure of all the pages, how many pages. Maredi, this is a true copy except for the back part of movement register at the back.
The
That
movement
has been,
register,
maybe
that's not
they'll
yours.
type it later on, but that was not
Okay.
part of the original
Let's
copy.
remove that. It's fine. Going to remove that. The movement register. I then beg leave to hand this up as Exhibit DD. Let us, there's just one further incident we have to deal with, and that was on the scene morning of 14 February. You have indicated that you saw the firearm lying in front of the, lying in the bathroom, is that correct?
That's correct, Maredi.
And more particularly, as one could see it at photo 104. Is that correct?
That is correct, Maredi.
You never handled that firearm.
I specifically didn't handle the firearm at all, Maredi.
But you witnessed somebody handling.
That is correct, Maredi.
What happened?
Maredi, after the photographer was finished in the bathroom, we allow access to the ballistic expert for the reason of the ballistics, the firearm, and the seizure of the firearm. So I was present when the firearm expert at that stage from the ballistic unit, Lieutenant Colonel Martu, was in the bathroom. I was busy talking on my cell phone, arranging and communicating with some of my superiors and also as well as Warrant Officer Botha, when I heard that the firearm has been cocked. So I turned my head to where the firearm has been cocked to see what is going on, and at that particular moment the ballistic expert was having the firearm in his hand without gloves. He already took out the magazine was in his hand and the firearm was in his hand. So I stopped immediately talking and I asked him, "What are you doing?" And then he turned his head to me and he was looking, and then he realized there was no hand gloves on. And then he said, "Sorry." And he put the magazine back in the firearm and he put it back on the carpet, on the this bathroom carpet. And then he took out his hand gloves from his pocket that was hanging out here in the breast pocket, and he put it on his hands, and then again he took the firearm and he made it safe and he continued with his. So immediately I was very angry, so immediately I turned around and I also informed Warrant Officer Van Staden of what had happened, and I'm not very pleased with what I saw.
Now, when that happened, in that bathroom, who else was there?
It was only me and Lieutenant Colonel Mart.
Now, what happened when you left the scene on day one, on the 14th?
Your Honor, my lady, when we finished that particular day, and each day after that as well, we secure the scene. We make sure that all the windows, doors were locked, and then we lock the front door and we seal the front door with a seal, a forensic seal. Then we take the first day the keys to the house. Even the gardener, I don't know what his really occupation was there, we help him to get the food from the dog out so that we make sure there's food for the dog and everything is being catered, because he was living at the back. There's a servant quarters on the right hand side when you enter the premises. So he only had access to the outside as well as to his quarters. Everything else we lock down and we seal it. We take the keys of the house and we book it into the SCP-13 at Bosco Police Station. And the first day the keys was booked in and it was left that night. So the 14th to the 15th, the keys was left in the CSC. Right. Afterwards, when I arrived at home, I was wondering about why did they left the key, because I didn't trust anyone at that stage. So the next day, the same thing, when we arrived at the scene, in the presence of the photographer and the person that was doing the guard duty, we post 2 members, uniform members, as guard at the premises for a whole night during the day. So during the day, there was 2 guards at all time. The next morning, when we arrived there, with the guards that is present, we cut the seal, we opened the doors, and then we entered the premises. Then the seals that was been cut, we handed into the SAP30 to make sure that is proof. The night, the same thing. The night of the 15th, after we finished up, the keys is again handed into the SAP13. But after it's been handed into the 13, I took possession of the keys and I signed in the SAP13 register and I put it in my official safe in my office, which only me got the key. The next morning I came back, I took the keys out of the office safe and I went to the scene, and then the seals again was checked and it was then cut. At no stage the seal was broken or tampered with. Only, I'm not sure, at the stage, I don't know if it's a Saturday or, I think it's a Saturday, we had a problem regarding the seals because we started running out of the seals. But again, we paste seal, man-made seals that we pasted and we can see it's been tampered with on, and to make sure that it's been covered with. And again, the members on duty as guard, they has the instruction to check. And at no stage we found that the seal was broken or been tampered with, or any report was made from any of the guards that there was tampered with the crime scene as such.
So, Colonel, you were on the scene on the 14th of February.
That is correct, my lady.
That was the Thursday.
That was the Thursday.
Were you on the scene on the 15th of February?
I was on the scene on the 15th of February as well, my lady.
The Friday. And on the 16th, Saturday.
On 16th, the Saturday, the same thing, my lady.
And on the Sunday, the 17th.
The Sunday, the 17th as well.
And you finalized the investigation on the scene on Sunday, the 17th.
That is correct, my lady.
And what did you do with the key?
There was arrangement made that we had to hand the key over to Mr. Stander, Jan Stander, the friend of the accused.
Did you do that?
So we locked the house. We didn't seal it again because we were leaving the scene, and I just personally take the keys to Mr. Stander and I hand it over with a knowledge receipt that he received it.
Good. Then, if we can focus on the door. You've already identified the door and the panels on the scene. What happened to the door?
My lady, the door, we decided on the 15th, Friday, after we received information that some of the newspapers is willing to pay between 30 and 60,000 for a photo of the door. Also, that was not the main reason, but we realized we had to do something very quick because it could happen that someone's going to take a photo. Already we had the experience of a missing watch. So we decided immediately to take down the door. Now, the door is the most valuable evidence.
Okay, if you just take it a bit slower. You decided to take down the door.
Yeah, we decided to take down. The door is the most valuable evidence exhibit on the scene because it indicated the shooting holes. The disease was behind this door when she was shot. So that was the main reason exhibit, it had to be sheathed. But when we received the information on Friday, we decided we would do it immediately. Now we had a challenge. We couldn't find anything that really fit, the door can fit in because it's a very big door as you see. So we made arrangements that we take body bags. Now I personally drive to Bronkhorstspruit and we got body bags, different sizes of the body bag, and then only the biggest body bag the door could fit in. So Lieutenant Colonel van der Merwe from forensics, as well as Warrant Officer Van Staden, they took down the door. Now, before we took down the door, I asked the question, if you took down the door, can we really fit it back in the same position? And they said, that is very easy. You just take a screwdriver and you just take it off, and then you can refit it again. There will not be a problem refitting and assembling it again. So they took down the door, my lady, and they also sealed it in the evidence bag with seals. When they come outside, we had a problem about the vehicle that can really fit this door into. So we had to contact a long wheelbase police vehicle to fit it in at the back. But as we're carrying this door, my lady, the loose panels of the door was shifting. And we was afraid that it's going to cut the body bag, because it's a plastic body bag. Then I said to them, we have to be very careful, because as soon as this panels is cutting this, then we got a problem about securing this part of evidence. So we put it in the vehicle, and the vehicle was, the constable took it to Bosco police station, where it been handed in SCP-13 as exhibit. Now, on a Friday, in the station, the big exhibits is kept in the charge office. There is a temporary facility, but in this case, there was not a big place. You couldn't find it. You would stand in the charge office in the passage. And that is where I found it when I arrived at the police station.
Still sealed?
So
was it still sealed when you arrived at the police?
It was still sealed when I arrived there. So I take the responsibility. Standing orders is clear. It is the responsibility of the station commander to safeguard the property as well as exhibits. So I signed for the exhibit, and I took it to my office where I kept it. Now, I know someone will ask the question, why do you take it to the office? The first thing about the office is it is secure. There is security
gates, security gates.
Security gates, fences around the windows. I am the only person that had a key to the room. I also do additional insurance that I put the small policeman keys that you put into the lock. Make sure it's locked. The outside has been locked. And then it was placed in my office flat in front of my desk on the floor. With the reason not moving it as often as you would have want to be, because it can be cut with that panels. It was kept there in my office the whole weekend. The arrangements we actually did is that on the Monday we would have Warrant Officer Van Staden and the forensic expert Lieutenant Colonel Van der Merwe would come and take it and hand it in at forensics. But as the things developed, on Monday we had the preparation of the bail application. Tuesday the bail application started. The whole week we was busy, and then they only could have made it until the 28th of February. Now, during this period, this door was kept in my office. I was the only person in control of that office. No meeting was held during that period in that office. If someone come and see me, I closed the door, I locked the door, and I went to another office and have a conversation with that person. Also, there was only 2 faxes on the station. One fax is in my office. Sometimes people come and they want to fax something. I took that fax and I faxed it myself. So nobody else did tamper with that evidence. Coming to the other storerooms on the station, my 2 storerooms that I got on the station is packed to capacity. So if I move this door to that, the possibility exists that it could be cut, and then the packaging could be cut by the panels, and then it would affect the credibility of securing the exhibit.
Now, during the time between the 15th and when you handed it over to Warrant Officer Van Staden, did you open that body bag?
That is correct, my lady. On the 18th, the defense requested that their forensics team wants to see the door. So, in the presence of me and Warrant Officer Botha, Mr. Volmerans of the forensics of the defense, and the photographer, I can't remember now his name, we open the seal, we break the seal, as it was sealed when we received it. We open and we let the door stand upright, and we open as far as possible that they can see it. There were splinters, small splinters that was falling out at one corner. So I picked that splinters up with hand gloves and I put it back on the body bag, back in the body bag. And then they started taking photos. Then the request was that we had to take it out. Of course, they want to see the height of the bullets, what the holes is. And I said, no, I'm not going to take out this thing. The idea was of seizing this exhibit is to taking to a controlled environment like forensics, that they can erect it by an expert, and that everybody can see what the height and everything, what was happening with the door. So I'm not going to take it out at all. Actually, they was agitated with me. They said, then there's no use that I come here and see this thing. So I say, sorry, that is the only allowance that I'm going to make for him to see in the door. And then we seal the door after we seal the bag again, and we seal it with another seal. Unfortunately, that's that we didn't have a seal, so we was running around getting a seal eventually that each and everyone was pleased with, and we sealed it with that seal. And again, the defense forensic expert photographer also take photos of that seal. And then it was taken back into my office and again lie in front of my desk.
You kept it there until you handed it over to Warrant Officer van Staal.
I kept it there until I handed it over to Warrant Officer. One thing that my lady one must remember, there was allegations. I'm not saying I say allegations, or we thought that the cricket bat was used as well. And any time that you damage this door, there was additional damages, and then it will be difficult for the forensic expert to really determine now which damage is coming from afterwards and which damage is coming while the crime was committed. So that was another reason why we limited the movement of this exhibit.
We've come to the end of the evidence. What are you doing? You're not in the police anymore.
No, my lady, I'm not in the police anymore.
So, what business are you in now?
My lady, I'm doing the thing that I love the most.
And that is?
I'm coaching.
You're coaching what? What are you coaching, Colonel?
I'm coaching sports, and sports is my life.
I have nothing further. Right.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Roux.
Thank you, Madam Colonel. I'll try and summarize some of my understanding of the evidence, and please assist and indicate when I'm wrong, and correct me if you will. And that is specifically relevant to access to the first floor or the top floor of the house of Mr. Pistorius. My understanding is that the first time you went up was in the presence of Warrant Officer Puerta.
That is correct, my lady.
Lady, I'm so sorry. Before I should have started with the questions, to give the state ample notice. We will ask the court, through the court, to call Colonel Vermeulen back, and it would be no surprises. I will assist the state so that he knows exactly what it's all about. I will ask Mr. Wolmerans just to point out what we want him to look at. It's just outside. And what we will say that when we had opportunity now in the court to investigate the door with two experts, that they found higher up a mark, according to the defense experts, a cricket bat mark hitting the door. So we'll point it out to the state, if I may, so that there's no surprise for Colonel Vermeulen, that he can work on it and that the state can see it. where the mark is. And we took photographs and so on, that will be available, but it is just for purposes of the state. Thank you, my lady. And we will request then that, of course, after this,
At the auction.
that he be recalled for that purpose. The second aspect that we need from the state is to tell us if Mr. Hilton Botha will be called as a witness, because that will depend on how many questions we put to this witness. So he must please give us some indication, if you want. Just assist us there, because that will depend
Yes,
on the
you
cross-examination.
want to know if Mr. Botha is
If
going to
Mr.
be
Botha will
called.
be called by the state indeed.
Yes.
I don't know yet, my lady. I'll decide as the evidence goes.
Thank you, my lady. Colonel, then I want to put to you something before I deal with the sequence of events. As we listen to your evidence, the unavoidable inference is this: that you were willing to come to court to give evidence wider than you can in order to make the calling of Mr. Hilton Botha as a witness unnecessary, and we will point it out to you. So we say that you, in your evidence, went wider than you can really go, and you could have gone, and that is to make it unnecessary for the state to call Mr. Botha. And that's why we asked the state whether he would commit himself. Do you understand what I say to you?
Can you just rephrase it?
I say, Mr. Van Rensburg, Colonel Van Rensburg, you allowed yourself to come and give evidence that we will point out was designed to take the place of Mr. Botha in circumstances where you would not have been able to do it, where you could not say certain things. What do you say about that?
It's still very... Can you simplify it, please?
You're standing in for Mr. Botha's evidence on aspects that you cannot stand in for.
My lady, I'm not standing in for Warrant Officer Botha. I'm standing in for what the evidence that I saw on the scene.
And I'm going to make it easy because I don't want to trick you. First of all, I'm going to ask you this about your experience. How long experience do you have as a policeman?
As a policeman, 30 years, my lady.
And of course you know, as the commanding officer there, that when you make a statement, you tell the truth in a statement.
That is correct, my lady.
Because you know that statement would be given to the defense, that they can prepare their case, and that they know what the case is against the accused that they represent.
That is correct, my lady.
And that why it's important that you are deal with all the facts in the statement and in a truthful manner.
It is correct, my lady, regarding the facts that you have to state in your statement. But it's also true that it happens that you do not contain all the facts in the statement. As the development of the case happens, in this case, we started with the investigation. Then the investigation was handed over.
I understand it. Let me.
So, when the investigation was handed over, some of the information that we had was never communicated from my side. I can't talk about the other one. Was not communicated and documented into the in the statement. Later back, the new investigation had to come. And van die onderzoek
Wait.
sorry, let me just go back to English. After a while we was busy with gathering the evidence. As the information comes through and the evidence that's been gathered, it became clear to me that we have a case, a prima facie case against the accused. So I went to him in the presence of his lawyer, Mr. Odwalgen, that was present, and I arrested him, and I again warned him of his rights. And to be honest with you, Mr. Orwagen mentioned to me, sorry, Colonel, you doesn't mention the part of the judge's rules that his attorney can be present. And then I said, thank you for reminding me, but previously I did that. So then he was arrested. The accused's brother, Mr. Pistorius, phoned me. I didn't know if Captain van Aert arranged it with them, but he phoned me and he requested that he can come and take the watches over from me. Then I said, no, I will not hand it over to you. I will hand it over to the owner of the watches. That will be the accused. So arrangements was made that I meet the accused, and I handed the 6 watches over to the accused without the box. The box was still for analysis on the case. During that handing over session, I again informed the accused, please, if there's anything else that they're missing, they must report it.
Was anything else reported to you as having gone missing?
My lady, up to now, no, nothing else was reported stolen to me.
To you. Perhaps we skipped one step. When this happened, the meeting upstairs, the realization that there was a watch missing, where was the accused there?
The accused was already been transferred to first to the police station, and then from there to the doctor for medical examination.
Now, you indicated earlier that you explained his rights to him, asked him to remain on the scene and not leave the scene. Was he arrested at any stage?
Eerder nadat met die verloop, Captain van Aert gave permission that the watches can be handed back, the rest of the watches, because after the blood analysis was done by Colonel van der Nest, who was there the following day, he seized the box. None of the forensic experts on the scene seized the box. He seized the box and he handed in for fingerprints and forensics analysis. So none of the forensic experts, not even me, handled the box concerning the theft of the theft case. Then Captain van Aert gave permission that I can hand it over the 6 watches that was left. Again, I didn't contact and stuff that people wants to take and wants to possess because he's a celebrity. And I said to him, please, it's difficult for a scene like this. We don't know what is in cupboards. We don't know what is in drawers. If he found anything that is missing, that he must report it to me. And I give him the promise that if I found anything, that I will take action against it. When I reported this to the forensic team, everybody knows about it. I reported to my commander structure and also to the accused. The case docket, later on,